I think a lot of times our society and the entertainment industry in this country focus on the wrong things. And one of the things that concerns me is, do not forget about my son. Do not forget who Ryan Carter Poston is.
On October 12th of 2012, 29-year-old Ryan Poston had a fabulous evening planned. Ryan had met someone special, a gorgeous woman by the name of Audrey, also known to be Miss Ohio. But for Ryan, this was also a big cheers to new beginnings. Prior to his planned date with Audrey, Ryan had been in an on and off relationship with Shayna Hubers. The relationship with Shayna had been wild, passionate, toxic, and finally for Ryan, it was time to call it off for good. But Ryan would be killed before he would be able to actually meet Audrey in person. The last person who ever saw him alive was Shayna Hubers. It gets weird. Shayna called 911 after she murdered Ryan with an admission. Then the trial had delved deep into the couple's problematic relationship and how deep-rooted obsession turned this young woman into an actual murderer. I cannot wait to talk about this. This is honestly one of the most powerful crime stories that I have ever come across, like ever. So let's get right in. I'm Chelsea J. Welcome to Crime Light. Hit the like button and I'll see you on the other side.
This is my time, my day, my hour. This is my time, my day, my hour. This is my time, my day, my...
Ryan Carter Poston was born in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky on December 30th of 1982 to Lisa Carter and Jay Poston. His family included 3 young sisters, Allison, Catherine, and Elizabeth Carter. During his schooling years, Ryan went to different countries. He later pursued a higher education at Indiana University, undertaking a triple major in history, geography, and political science. Eventually, he ventured into law school at Northern Kentucky University in Highland Heights, earning his Juris Doctor degree before commencing his career as an attorney in Cincinnati, Ohio. Throughout his career, he was known for his dedication to helping those with limited resources. Like if somebody couldn't afford the fee, then Ryan would work with them. Ryan was also following legal professionals' footsteps within his family, as his grandfather, James Poston Sr., had served as an attorney for a striking 54 years. Ryan's friends and family mentioned that he had a very bright future, hopefully running for office someday so he could make a much bigger difference here in the world. In March of 2011, 28-year-old Ryan crossed paths with Shayna Hubers, who was at the time 19 years old. Shayna and Ryan met each other through Facebook. Ryan and Shayna's connection sparked when he spotted a captivating photo of her in a bikini from spring break out in Florida. Shayna was young, she was beautiful, and she considered her college days vibrant and full of life, as she says that she remembers her young self to be a very outgoing person. On April 8th of 2011, Shayna would turn 20, and for the first time, she would also meet Ryan in person. From my understanding of the case, Shayna utilized sex appeal to continue winning Ryan over because emotionally, the two were not a good match. And I have to say this is actually pretty common in abusive relationships where the abuser learns the victim up front, then later twists the story to be opposite of the truth. Now, while everyone knew Ryan to be just the best guy, and this also included his clients as well, so professional and personal, he was an awesome person. So it has been said, Shayna would actually come out and say otherwise. Shayna was aspiring to be a counselor, and she argued that Ryan's kindness wasn't the issue, but instead that he was a very controlling person. Now, that is honestly so scary that she was going into the field to help others, attracting this really good guy and using his strengths against him. Like, honestly, that's so scary. It reminds me of Jodi Hildebrandt, something she would do. Take on this big role as a counselor, go help others, and then utilize everything that was working for them against them, so it all works against them. Now, it is said that Ryan was dealing with a lawsuit from his prior partner as he had ventured out eventually to open his own practice. But at the same time, in dealing with Shayna, this was incredibly difficult. I mean, it's almost safe to say this was pretty much the most difficult part in his life at this time, like beyond a lawsuit. Tolerating Shayna's dramatic, obsessive, and codependent behavior was really putting pressure on Ryan's present life and, safe to say, his future. And this is actually who Shayna was, because friends say that as they grew up with Shayna and went to high school with her, they declared that she has always been this clingy, grudge-holding kind of person. And so while everyone else knew Ryan to be this really nice guy, people knew Shayna to have a dark side. So anyway, Ryan ends up eventually losing interest in the relationship with Shayna. And as shared by his friends and family during the trial and the media talks, they mentioned that Ryan struggled to fully disengage due to his kind-hearted nature, not wanting to cause Shayna any distress. And again, we know this because of the different personality types. Ryan has a heart for others, and Shayna is just a big fit thrower. And it is said she just really didn't take no for an answer. She did not give up easily. And actually, it is said that she used to drive the 80-mile distance to Ryan's condo and weasel her way back into her spot as his lover. And I'd like to mention that actually Shayna's own mother emphasized on Shayna's warm-hearted nature. I wanted to point that out because that's clearly enabling. That's not a good thing. And actually, oftentimes we find in an abuser's corner that there usually is a parent, a guardian, or some kind of leader over the abusive person who kind of push this behavior unknowingly by only seeing the best in their child, when really there are some clear today serious issues going on. So Ryan and Shayna's relationship ended up experiencing multiple breakups over the course of 18 months, but eventually they would find their way back to one another each and every time. Now, I wanted to get into some disturbances and some disturbing behaviors that others would end up coming out and saying that they noticed between Shayna and Ryan. Close acquaintances of Ryan's consistently expressed concerns about Shayna's behavior. Ryan had an ex-girlfriend named Lauren that revealed that Shayna displayed signs of an obsessive streak about her appearance compared to Lauren's, and she created a very intense fixation on Ryan. Lauren and Ryan had been close enough that at one point when they were together in the past, they had adopted 2 dogs named Lily and Max. And Lauren ended up, kind of holding on to the dogs after her and Ryan broke up. But Lauren says that she had always held out hope that one day her and Ryan would maybe reconcile things. And again, I really feel like that says a lot about Ryan, an ex-lover wanting to rekindle. I think that says a lot. So Lauren says Shayna used to go around places asking everyone if they knew me and if they thought that I was prettier than Shayna was. It was like she had an obsession. It was like beyond Ryan. There was something deeply rooted within Shayna that was very unsettling for Ryan's surroundings. Ryan had a friend by the name of Allie Wagner, and Allie would say, I think she had a goal in the beginning to make him settle down with her. And when she wasn't becoming successful, that became a problem. We all understand that when you're dating somebody, that is ultimately the goal. Now, what I would call this is a hidden agenda. This is obviously something that was very one-sided, something that Shayna developed in her mind, like he belongs to me. Ryan didn't necessarily jump ship and have that same agreement with Shayna, and so that is actually where hidden agendas become really uncomfortable, because it really is just one person running the relationship by that point. And that's actually something that I often say with mentally ill people without treatment, or people that don't have the best of intentions for everyone in the relationship, but just within self, trying to get somebody to submit to commitment. That's a hidden agenda. If that is not something that 2 people have sat down and actually said, yes, this is what's happening between us in the relationship. So obviously this is what Shayna had. She had a hidden agenda. So when her hidden agenda wasn't actually becoming successful with Ryan, that became a problem for Ryan. Allie read a Facebook message Ryan had sent to Allie, and Ryan said, literally, probably the craziest fucking person I have ever met. She almost scares me. That's how he referred to Shayna. Ryan ended up texting a cousin. This is getting to be restraining order level crazy. She has shown up at my condo 3 times and literally Shayna refuses to leave every single time. So Shayna would end up coming out on her side and saying, he says he is only with me because I make him feel so awful when I cry. So therefore my love has now turned to hate. To another pal, Shayna wrote a few weeks before Ryan's death, when I go to the shooting range with Ryan tonight, I want to turn around and shoot him, kill him, and I would like to make it look like it was an accident. In February of 2012, 8 months before his death, Ryan conveyed a message to Shayna suggesting that she tell everybody on her side and his, whatever, that she initiated the breakup this time. Like, you know what, go ahead, do what you're gonna do, whatever you gotta do, it's over. She resisted, which was typical, replying that she loved him and that was far more than what Ryan deserved. In March, the report continued, he pleaded with Shayna, stop texting me. Then in April, I no longer have patience to deal with you. Investigators ended up discovering an overwhelming volume of messages predominantly from Shayna. She demonstrated a compulsive pattern where for every one message that Ryan sent, she could turn around and send 50 in return. She bombarded Ryan's phone with 50 to 100 messages daily. This persistent communication wore Ryan down. Investigators found hundreds of thousands of messages in Ryan's phone just from Shayna's side. Now, despite the intense exchanges, Ryan and Shayna reunited within the summer. But as cycles do, they turn and they hit their familiar rough patches all over again. By late August, Ryan finally spoke out. He was tired of being the nice guy and the submission was getting old. He declared it was time to finally put things to an end. Ryan texted her, I'm turning off my phone this time and I'm actually padlocking the door. Shayna then sent Ryan at least 100 messages over the next 9 hours alone until Ryan finally replied, I am not reading those. Stop. But Shayna still had a key to Ryan's condo. And so, on the night of October 11th, the pair spent time at Shayna's mother and stepfather's house, and then she slept at Ryan's place, according to her mom, Shayna Hubers. Sharon, who is Shayna's mother, ended up saying, I don't know if it was part of Ryan's attempt to let her down easy. I don't know why he would end up bringing himself around my daughter if he really wanted it to be over. This is something that Sharon ends up testifying when asked, does this seem like a guy that wants to end things with your daughter? This is what she said. I just don't know. I don't know what his motive was. Around 9 p.m. on October 12th, Shayna calls 911.
Campbell County 911. Ma'am, I killed my boyfriend in self-defense. What did you kill him with? A gun, a loaded gun in the house. Can you tell me where the gun is right now? The gun is in the house. I laid it on the bookshelf. Where are you? I'm standing about 10 feet from his dead body. Okay, are you sure that he is dead? He's dead, ma'am. He's completely dead.
Shayna stated, I killed my boyfriend in self-defense. When pressed for more details, she continued, he beat me, he tried to carry me out of the house, and I came back in to get my things, and when I came back in to get my things, he was right in front of me and reached down, grabbed a gun, and I grabbed it out of his hands and I pulled the trigger. Shayna's mother, Sharon, ended up later testifying that Shayna had initially called her first. She sounded hysterical, she was terrified, and that Shayna was in clear shock. Sharon says, I told Shayna to call 911 and tell them what had just happened. Police ended up taking Shayna into custody, and after being read her rights, she asked for a lawyer. But as video of the exchange showed, Shayna just decided to bypass the lawyer, I guess, and she would talk and talk and talk and talk.
It was so painful to watch him die and to know that I had done that. How sweet
She shared details of previous incidents, including Ryan pulling guns as jokes on Shayna in the past, and instances where she had feared for her safety in Ryan's presence. Now, Shayna described the fatal encounter alleging verbal abuse from Ryan, which, ended up leading her to having to shoot him in fear for her life. While recounting their relationship, she characterized Ryan as excessively concerned about his appearance, kind of painting Ryan to be this narcissist, and suggesting that by shooting him in the face, that she had performed a service that Ryan had desired. I gave him a nose job that he always wanted, was what she actually said. Pretty heartless. Also, Shayna made statements that might be seen as inappropriate, expressing concerns about her potential prospects, including never being able to get married once her future lovers would learn about what Shayna had just done. Following a lengthy period alone in the interrogation room, Shayna exhibited really weird behavior, like dancing. She was, pacing around the room, and she went ahead and busted out the tune, Amazing Grace. Now, Shayna had shot Ryan 6 times. He was twitching, she recalled. So she says, I shot him some more just to make sure he was dead because I didn't want to sit there and have to watch the guy die. She audibly admitted, I did it. Yes, I did it. And I cannot believe that I did that, and reflected on her ability to act convincingly.
I did. Yeah, I did. I believe.
Eventually, she faced arrest for murder and was detained under a substantial $5 million bond. Shayna was arrested for Ryan's murder on December 20th of 2012, and by January 16th of 2013, she ended up pleading not guilty to the murder charges because she thought in her head she did it in self-defense. Now, the start of Shayna's murder trial took place on April 13th of 2015, 2.5 years past the tragic accident. And I personally just feel so bad for the family of Ryan because they were tight. So that must have been a very long holiday season, every Christmas, not having their son. Every time the fall came around, just having to remember that he had died around this time of the year. Just the world without a really loving and giving lawyer. Like what his clients must have thought and really depending on him.
His passion in life was knowledge. His passion in life was just educating himself and learning. And he wanted to take care of people who couldn't take care of themselves. He was very big about that in the practice of his law, to find clients that really couldn't afford an attorney.
I mean, the world lost out. 2.5 years is a really long time to wait for someone to be convicted of this crime. Jail just seems too easy for someone like that, So throughout this time, she remained in custody at the Campbell County Jail due to inability to post bail. The prosecution contended that Ryan's desire to end the relationship with Shayna became the motive for the murder. However, defense attorney persisted in asserting that the shooting was an act in self-defense, painting Shayna as a victim of domestic violence. Now, text messages were presented as evidence in the case, portraying Shayna's intense fixation on Ryan. Witnesses, including Ryan's friends, his family, the woman he was supposed to meet, Audrey, and Shayna's former cellmate, ended up testifying to support the prosecution's case. On behalf of Ryan, a woman by the name of Carissa would end up testifying about Ryan's efforts to avoid confrontation as she shared the text exchange with Carissa before he died. Ryan's stepfather, Peter Carter, ended up revealing that Ryan confided in his stepfather that he was going on a date with Audrey, but that he was just terrified to disclose this information to Shayna. He did not know how to get rid of her at this point in his life. Now, the woman, Miss Ohio, that was supposed to date Ryan that evening, Audrey confirmed that they had planned to meet in a bar for drinks that evening. And then, she's like, yeah, he never showed up. Now, Shayna's previous cellmate, Cecily, recalled Shayna's disturbing boasts about shooting Ryan in the face with remarks about his new appearance. Cecily also mentioned Shayna being open about a defense strategy, contemplating pleading insanity for battered wife syndrome. Although Shayna refrained from testifying in her defense, she relied on her recorded police interrogation, maintaining her truth, which we all know isn't, but that's what she said. Her truth was that she had to act in self-defense. Upon receiving her initial sentencing, Shayna pursued a retrial, which actually ended up being granted on October 25th of 2016. This decision came about due to a juror's concealment of a felony conviction, a violation of a Kentucky law that prohibits felons from serving on the jury. Consequently, her previous conviction was overturned. And guys, that must have just killed Ryan's friends and family to know that happened. Oh, I can't imagine if that was my child or my friend. And we had to go through all this again. Oh. In an interview just before Shayna's second trial in May of 2018, she finally broke her silence, discussing her intent to marry a fellow inmate, an event that took place and has since ended in divorce.
Person she wants to marry, fellow inmate Richard McBee, who identifies as a transgender woman by the name Unique Taylor.
I don't see Unique as a man or a woman. I see Unique as a soul that I love.
Shayna even draws a comparison between her relationship with Ryan Poston and her new love interest.
Maybe years ago, that wasn't the right person, and so we didn't understand each other as well, and Unique and I understand each other a lot better.
We struck up a conversation, and it just sort of went from there. I stand up for my rights, and obviously I'll be standing up for hers too.
Is there anything you regret from 2012?
She voiced feeling unjustly treated by the Campbell County justice system, expressing doubts about the fairness of her upcoming second trial. She sensed that there was biased activity against her. However, she also conveyed happiness about the prospect of a new trial, emphasizing its significance in her life. She said that the experience meant a lot to her. She also mentioned no awareness of any correspondence from Ryan's family and admitted to receiving a fair amount of supportive mail from strangers. And sometimes she would respond to the mail from strangers, especially during times when her case received media attention. So, yeah. We tend to have this issue with people writing the wrong people in prison. Chris Watts, this is kind of a similar behavior. He says, he enjoyed the letters too. So I don't know if you're writing these people, but you should probably stop. Repeatedly questioned about regret concerning the events of 2012, Shayna reiterated her focus on the present, and she declined to delve into discussions about the past. So just, hey, that never happened. I'm where I am. This is the present and I'm moving forward. And if it were anything other than murder, I'd say what a great attitude to have. But considering this woman almost counseled other people and this is her behavior toward a crime, says a damn lot. The start for her new trial was initially September 8th of 2017. However, it encountered a 4-month delay, eventually commencing on January 16th of 2018. Shayna's new appointed out-of-state lawyer requested a 6-month extension, and they wanted to re-prepare for the new trial. The second trial, which began on August 8th of 2018, featured Shayna's intimate aspects of her relationship with Ryan. Shayna's new attorney, named David Eldridge, adjusted her defense strategy, focusing more on emotional turmoil Shayna endured during Ryan's physical and emotional abuse to Shayna. During this trial, Dr. Thomas Schatt, a psychologist, testified that Shayna suffered with borderline personality disorder and that she had been mentally distressed when the shooting had occurred. Unlike her first trial, this time Shayna took the stand, recounted the night of the incident, and she described the moment of fear and distress, claiming that Ryan had pointed the gun at her, threatening her life. Her testimony detailed an escalation of verbal abuse that ended up landing her no choice but to grab the gun from Ryan and shoot him in self-defense. However, The prosecution persisted with its assertion that Shayna's actions were calculated, leading her to conviction for murder in less than 5 hours. At the sentencing, Shayna's lack of remorse towards Ryan's family was really obvious, contrasting with an apology letter that allegedly Shayna had written and sent to the judge. Ryan's father, Jay Poston, expressed the enduring pain of losing his son, on the missed opportunities with the future, and, the fact that he's never going to be able to have grandchildren because of the fact that Ryan is no longer here. Sharon, Shayna's mother, ended up, kind of balancing out and acknowledging the grief on both sides, and Shayna was once more found guilty of murdering Ryan Poston. Shayna was sentenced to life imprisonment, retaining the possibility of parole after serving 17 years. Her eligibility for parole is set for 2032, and she is currently incarcerated at the Kentucky Correctional Institute for Women in Pewee Valley, Kentucky. And as they always do, Shayna ended up pursuing an appeal. Literally doesn't surprise me. It's kind of all you got at that point. After the second verdict, citing multiple issues during her trial. However, the Kentucky Supreme Court dismissed her appeal on September of 2020 because they did not find any substantial errors. Guys, that is the case of Shayna Hubers, a cold-blooded killer who took the life of Ryan Poston for literally no reason. And the motive, if she couldn't have him, then nobody could have him. And obviously, I feel that she did it as well because she didn't want him to have a choice in the matter. Like, if you're not with me, you're no longer. So guys, do you know someone that has ever acted like Shayna? What about someone who's too nice to say no, doesn't really draw that boundary, just tolerates and tolerates and tolerates and kind of just poisons their own life with not having the backbone to draw a boundary? I mean, obviously we know what happened when he did, but I don't know, was it just too much time had passed and she snapped, what do you guys think? What about the fact that she was diagnosed borderline personality disorder and it had been untreated? How about the bigger fact that she was going to spend her life counseling people? What do you think about that? That is so wild to me. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Until next time, stay safe, loved ones. I'm Chelsea J. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a blessed week, and I will be seeing you next time for another case. Crime Light out.